If you want a winning attitude, you don't start with affirmations or mindset hacks. You start with your body. Physiology is the lever that shifts psychology. It's the gateway. If your body is in a defensive, fatigued, or dysregulated state, your mindset cannot hold. No matter how positive you try to think, your nervous system will default to survival, not victory. Let's break this down. Your brain and your body are in constant communication through a network of nerves, chemicals, and electrical signals. Your autonomic nervous system has two primary branches: sympathetic, fight, flight, action, and parasympathetic, rest, recovery, reflection. A winning attitude requires the ability to move between these states with control. You want to be alert without being anxious, calm without being complacent. The fastest, most accessible way to take control of your physiological state is through breath work. Breathing isn't just an automatic process, it's a tool. When you lengthen your exhale relative to your inhale, you signal your brain to calm down. When you take quick, sharp inhales followed by controlled exhales, you signal readiness and alertness. One powerful method is the physiological sigh. 2 inhales through the nose, 1 long exhale through the mouth. Research shows this resets your autonomic state in real time, reducing stress and improving focus. Next is posture. Your body sends constant feedback to your brain through what's called afferent signaling. When you slump your shoulders, drop your head, and collapse inward, your brain interprets that as a threat state. You're signaling retreat. But when you expand your chest, elevate your chin slightly, and engage your spine, you're creating the internal signature of confidence. This isn't about fake body language. It's about understanding that your posture literally changes your neurochemistry. Power postures increase testosterone and reduce cortisol. That matters for how you interpret challenge. That matters for how you show up. Now consider gaze. Where and how you focus your eyes. Visual perception is directly linked to your state of arousal. When you're anxious or reactive, your pupils dilate and your gaze narrows, a tunnel vision response to threat. But when you deliberately soften your gaze or widen your peripheral vision, you activate the parasympathetic system. Try it. Pick a spot on the wall, then relax your eyes to see the space around that spot. This shift sends a signal to your brain. We're safe. We're in control. From that place, you make better decisions. You react less. You think more clearly. Let's move to movement. Your body evolved to move under stress, not sit still. Physical movement changes your brain state faster than any mindset tool ever could. A brisk walk, especially outside, triggers the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, sharpening focus and improving mood. A 5-minute bout of movement can reset an entire day. And when that movement is done early in the day with sunlight exposure, you amplify its effect on your circadian rhythm, energy, and cognition. Finally, there's deliberate physical friction, meaning small bouts of challenge that activate the body to train the mind. Cold showers, breath holds, intense but brief exercise. These are not just discipline hacks. They're tools that increase epinephrine and dopamine, 2 chemicals that promote alertness and motivation. But more importantly, you train yourself to stay calm in discomfort. That's the real win, because winners aren't comfortable all the time. They're adaptive. They feel the same signals everyone else does, but they interpret them differently. That interpretation begins in the body. So before you chase a new mindset, before you try to force motivation, ask yourself this: what state is my body in right now? Am I breathing in a way that supports clarity or chaos? Am I standing in a way that promotes confidence or collapse? Is my visual system telling my brain to engage or to panic? Controlling your physiology is not about hype. It's about ownership. You cannot fake your way to a winning attitude. You must create the conditions for it. The body sets the baseline, the mind follows. The science is clear, the protocol is simple, and the choice is yours. Visualization isn't magic, it's not fantasy, it's a neural training tool. When used with precision, it becomes one of the most powerful mechanisms for developing a winning attitude. Not because it tricks the mind, but because it trains the brain and nervous system to anticipate challenge, confront it, and move through it with control. To understand this, you need to know how the brain processes imagined experiences. The prefrontal cortex, motor cortex, amygdala, and insula regions responsible for decision-making, movement, emotional response, and interoception are all activated when you visualize something in detail. This means that the brain doesn't draw a clear line between what's real and what's vividly imagined. When you rehearse scenarios mentally, your nervous system responds almost as if you're living them. But precision is the key word here. Sloppy visualization leads to confusion and miswiring. Useful visualization demands specificity, emotional engagement, and repetition. Most people only visualize success. They imagine the win, the moment they close the deal, cross the finish line, or hear the applause. That can be useful, but it's incomplete. The real value in visualization comes from rehearsing the process and, more importantly, rehearsing the obstacles you will face along the way. Let's say you're preparing for a presentation, a competition, a negotiation. Don't just see the win. Sit down, close your eyes, and walk yourself through the challenge in real time. Imagine what it feels like to hit a moment of doubt. Picture someone asking a question that throws you off. Visualize yourself sweating, losing your train of thought, feeling the wave of pressure rising in your chest. Now imagine yourself recovering, slowing your breath, regaining focus, re-entering the moment with composure. That sequence builds neural patterns for resilience, not just confidence. This kind of targeted mental training is called stress inoculation. Athletes, special forces, surgeons, high-stakes performers use it to prepare not just for best-case outcomes, but for friction. You visualize the pain, the fatigue, the discomfort, and most importantly, the response. That's what sets elite performers apart. They don't just see the mountaintop, they train for the climb. From a neurological perspective, this process recruits the anterior cingulate cortex and the insula, regions involved in detecting conflict and maintaining focus under stress. Repeated visualization of overcoming obstacles reinforces your brain's ability to tolerate uncertainty and stay engaged. That becomes the foundation of a winning mindset, not naive optimism, but earned confidence. Another key component of precision visualization is embodied emotion. It's not enough to see the moment, you must feel it. The more sensory detail you add, sights, sounds, body tension, breath patterns, the more effective the visualization becomes. When you engage the limbic system, the emotional centers of the brain, you anchor the scene into your memory networks more powerfully. That anchoring leads to better performance under pressure because your brain has been there before. Let's talk timing. Visualization is most effective when used immediately after waking or right before sleep. These are moments when the brain is more plastic, more open to rewiring. During these periods, the theta and alpha brainwave states dominate, allowing for greater absorption of imagery and deeper emotional imprinting. 10 minutes a day in those windows can reshape your internal narrative. You can also pair visualization with breath regulation to further reinforce the desired physiological state. For example, as you visualize a pressure scenario, deliberately slow your exhale. This trains your body to stay calm while mentally rehearsing a high-stakes situation. That pairing of imagery and breath creates a powerful feedback loop. What you see, what you feel, and how your body responds all become aligned. Winning isn't a surprise for those who've mentally prepared to win, but that preparation has to be real, structured, and repeatable. If you're only visualizing the goal without the struggle, you're training for fantasy. But when you visualize the path with friction, setbacks, emotional turbulence, you're programming your nervous system for adaptive performance. That is the real value of visualization done right. It's not positivity, it's preparation. A winning attitude is not a vague feeling or a fleeting moment of inspiration. It is a sustained commitment to something bigger than yourself, anchored deeply in both your mind and your daily behaviors. Purpose is what ignites motivation at the neurochemical level, but purpose alone is inert without action. To cultivate a truly winning mindset, you must anchor your purpose to consistent, intentional action. From a neuroscience standpoint, purpose acts as a powerful motivator because it engages the brain's dopaminergic system, the circuits that regulate reward, motivation, and goal-directed behavior. Dopamine isn't just about pleasure, it's about anticipation and progress. When your purpose is clear and meaningful, dopamine floods your system as you make forward steps, reinforcing the behavior and creating a positive feedback loop. However, this dopamine-driven motivation depends on linking abstract purpose to tangible, achievable actions. It's not enough to say, my purpose is to succeed, or I want to be the best. The brain requires concrete milestones and behaviors to map that abstract goal onto reality. Let's explore this process. Purpose without action is a dream. Action without purpose is chaos. When you anchor your purpose to action, you create a neurobehavioral bridge between your high-level goals and the micro decisions you make every day. Start by clarifying your purpose. This isn't just a mission statement or a feel-good phrase. It's a specific personal why that resonates with your values and identity. Neuroscience tells us that purpose brain activity predominantly involves the medial prefrontal cortex, a region associated with self-referential thought and value assignment. When you vividly connect with your purpose, this area lights up, increasing motivation and resilience. Next, translate that purpose into actionable steps. These steps must be measurable, repeatable, and attainable. Instead of a vague, I want to get fit, anchor it as, I will walk 10,000 steps daily, or I will complete 3 strength training sessions per week. This transforms your intention into a daily behavioral script, which engages the basal ganglia, the brain's habit-forming center. Repetition of these actions over time shifts them from conscious effort to automatic habits, reinforcing your winning attitude at a subconscious level. Importantly, linking purpose to action requires feedback loops. You need to measure your progress and adjust your behaviors accordingly. When you receive feedback, whether it's a completed workout, a successful presentation, or a moment of self-discipline, your brain releases dopamine. This reinforces not only the specific action, but also the underlying purpose, deepening your commitment. Neuroscience also reveals the role of reward prediction error, the difference between expected and actual outcomes in learning. When you anchor purpose to action, you calibrate your expectations, celebrate small wins, and adjust when things don't go as planned. This dynamic process builds resilience and keeps you engaged over the long haul. Another critical aspect is contextualizing your actions within your identity. Your brain encodes identity in stable neural circuits, often involving the default mode network. When actions are congruent with your self-perceive, I am someone who follows through. I am a person who perseveres. Your motivation stabilizes. This identity-action link creates what psychologists call integrated motivation, which is more sustainable than fleeting external incentives. To reinforce this, embed your purposeful actions into daily rituals. Rituals activate predictable neural pathways, reducing decision fatigue and increasing consistency. Whether it's a morning meditation, a journaling practice, or a scheduled workout, these rituals become anchors that root your purpose in the rhythm of your day. It's also important to be mindful of how purpose and action interact during challenges. When faced with obstacles, purpose serves as the compass, and action is the oar that keeps you moving forward. Neuroscientifically, during stress, the brain shifts from the prefrontal cortex, goal-oriented thinking, to more primitive centers like the amygdala, fear response. But a strong purpose-action connection helps reactivate the prefrontal cortex, enabling adaptive problem solving rather than reactive fear. Finally, remember that purpose is not static. As you grow and learn, your sense of purpose can evolve. But what remains constant is the need to continually realign your actions with your evolving purpose. This dynamic anchoring sustains motivation, sharpens focus, and propels you toward mastery. Cultivating a winning attitude requires more than comfort, convenience, or even consistent effort. It demands that you actively seek discomfort, voluntary discomfort, as a deliberate tool to build resilience, mental toughness, and adaptability. This is a foundational principle backed by neuroscience, physiology, and performance science. At first glance, discomfort seems counterintuitive. Why would someone pursue pain, stress, or challenge on purpose? The answer lies in how the brain and body respond to controlled adversity. When you voluntarily expose yourself to stressors in a measured way, be it cold exposure, intense exercise, fasting, or other forms of controlled challenge, you initiate processes that enhance your ability to tolerate stress, recover faster, and perform better under pressure. The nervous system is plastic, meaning it adapts to the environments and demands placed upon it. When you experience voluntary discomfort, you activate the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight branch, which increases adrenaline, heart rate, and alertness. Simultaneously, you train your parasympathetic system, the rest and digest branch, to recover efficiently. This dynamic balance creates a more resilient autonomic nervous system that can handle real-world stress without tipping into anxiety or burnout. Take cold exposure as a classic example. Immersing your body in cold water, taking cold showers, triggers a cascade of neurochemical events, including the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter linked to focus, attention, and mood regulation. Norepinephrine helps reduce inflammation, improve cognitive clarity, and promote feelings of well-being. But more importantly, cold exposure teaches your brain and body to tolerate discomfort without panic. You learn to remain calm in the face of acute stress, which is the essence of a winning mindset. Exercise is another powerful form of voluntary discomfort. High-intensity workouts push your muscles, cardiovascular system, and brain to their limits. During these moments, your body releases endorphins and dopamine, neurochemicals associated with pain relief, pleasure, and motivation. But the benefits extend beyond chemistry. Intense physical exertion forces you to confront fatigue, muscle burn, and the desire to quit. Every time you push through, you are literally training your nervous system to embrace challenge, persist under pressure, and delay gratification. Fasting or intermittent caloric restriction is less intuitive but equally effective. It creates metabolic stress that activates cellular repair processes, increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, and enhances neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself. This physiological stress signals your body that it needs to become more efficient and adaptable. Psychologically, fasting builds discipline and mental clarity by teaching you to sit with discomfort rather than immediately seek relief. Voluntary discomfort is not about masochism or reckless behavior. It's about strategic exposure, choosing specific challenges that are intense enough to induce growth, but safe enough to avoid harm. The goal is to become anti-fragile, a term coined by Nassim Taleb, which means you get stronger and more capable from stress rather than breaking down. Neuroscientifically, voluntary discomfort helps recalibrate your stress response system. Chronic, uncontrolled stress leads to overactivation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal HPA axis, resulting in elevated cortisol levels, impaired cognition, and emotional dysregulation. But controlled stress exposure, done regularly, teaches your brain to interpret stress signals as manageable and even beneficial. This shifts your baseline stress tolerance upward, allowing you to face unpredictable challenges with composure. Importantly, voluntary discomfort also enhances your self-efficacy, the belief that you can influence outcomes through your own actions. Each time you voluntarily endure discomfort and come out the other side, you reinforce the neural circuits that support confidence, agency, and persistence. This rewiring makes it more likely that you will approach future challenges with a winning attitude rather than avoidance or fear. In practice, seeking voluntary discomfort can take many forms. It might mean waking up early to exercise before your mind and body want to move. It might mean saying no to distractions and committing to deep work. It could involve taking cold showers, spending time in silence, or deliberately embracing moments of boredom. It's also about building a mindset that views discomfort as a signal of growth rather than a threat. When you wake up, your brain transitions from sleep states dominated by slow wave and REM patterns to an alert waking state driven by increases in cortisol and norepinephrine, chemicals that regulate arousal and attention. These neurochemical surges create a biological opportunity to set your nervous system's baseline for the day. How you use this window determines whether you cultivate clarity or chaos. One key factor in winning the morning is exposure to natural light. Light hitting the retina immediately signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus, the brain's master clock, to suppress melatonin production and reset circadian rhythms. This cascade sharpens alertness, improves mood, and regulates hormone release. Without morning light exposure, your brain struggles to align internal timekeeping with external reality, leading to sluggishness, impaired focus, and decreased motivation. So step outside within the first hour of waking, even if just for a few minutes, and let natural light recalibrate your system. Next, engage in intentional breath work or movement. A few minutes of deep, slow breathing after waking reduces residual sleep inertia, a groggy, low energy state, and transitions your autonomic nervous system toward a more balanced state. Likewise, light physical activity stimulates the release of dopamine and norepinephrine, neurotransmitters that heighten alertness and improve executive function. Even a short walk, stretching, or gentle yoga primes your brain to engage cognitive circuits more effectively. Another foundational element is the avoidance of immediate digital engagement, checking emails, social media, or news feeds. Right after waking, the brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, is still ramping up in the morning. Bombarding it with information or distractions overwhelms executive function and triggers stress responses. Delaying digital exposure helps maintain a calm, focused internal environment conducive to intentional thinking. Mental rehearsal or goal setting in the morning further anchors your winning attitude. Neuroscience shows that when you visualize your goals or mentally rehearse key tasks early in the day, you activate the prefrontal cortex and motor planning areas of the brain. This primes your neural circuits to execute these behaviors and enhances motivation. Writing down or reviewing your top priorities creates a roadmap for your brain, increasing the likelihood that you stay on track and overcome distractions. Nutrition also plays a critical role in morning mindset. A balanced breakfast that includes protein and healthy fats provides a steady source of glucose to fuel your brain and stabilize blood sugar levels. Fluctuations in blood sugar can trigger irritability, fatigue, and impaired cognitive function. Avoiding high sugar or processed foods helps prevent these dips, maintaining steady energy and mental clarity. Hydration is equally essential. After hours of sleep, your body is in a mild state of dehydration, which can impair cognitive performance and mood. Drinking water soon after waking restores fluid balance, supporting neural function and overall energy levels. Importantly, winning the morning involves cultivating psychological states that foster resilience and motivation. Practicing gratitude, journaling, or meditation for even a few minutes can shift neural activity toward the default mode network and limbic system, areas involved in self-awareness and emotional regulation. These practices reduce stress and increase positive affect, setting a tone of openness and confidence for the day. Finally, establishing a consistent wake time anchors your circadian rhythm, optimizing sleep quality and daytime alertness. The brain thrives on predictability. Irregular sleep-wake patterns disrupt hormone cycles and impair memory, attention, and emotional stability. By winning the morning regularly, you win the mind's ability to perform consistently at a high level, or verbalizing your thoughts can be an effective tool for becoming aware of unconscious negative patterns. Writing down your internal dialogue forces you to externalize and objectively